Well, hello and welcome to the Spirit Safe. My name's Rob. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. What do we have this time? It's a Highland single malt whisky. It's the Inchmurrin 1993. So distilled 1993, bottled 2016, aged 23 years. Inchmurrin is not a distillery. It is a style of whisky produced by the Loch Lomond distillery, which was one of those 1970s high capacity distilleries that was created to cope with the demand that there was at the time. I believe they did a lot of they're able to produce grain whisky and malt whisky, so they could actually make a single blend if they wanted to. They're about the only distillery that could. So they did a lot of contract production for branded whiskies, supermarket whiskies. They can produce a lot of different kinds of whiskey because they've got lots of different kinds of still. They've got a column still and they've got various different kinds of pot stills. Would be quite an interesting place to visit, even though it's not the most picturesque distillery out there. Signatory Vintage, independent bottlers, very, very high quality stuff here, really thick metal tin, all very handsome, like a barrister's wig box, and this very, very heavy decanter style glass bottle. I bought this about 2 years ago. It took quite a long time to get into the country because the person who's going to bring it in for me, she couldn't carry so much, so this one got left behind. This is the second from Signatory Vintage Cask Strength range that I've reviewed. I've reviewed also a Glen Elgin from the same range. I think that was 25 years old. Really massive cork stopper. Look at the size of that. It oozes quality, all of this packaging. I know it just drives cost, but it is kind of nice to have that heavy glass bottle. So what more do I want to say about the distillery? Not much. Others will know more, I'm sure. When I first bought this, when I first opened it, a little bit disappointed because I found it had a very, very cheesy note, a hard cheese, a manchego cheese, or just an offish dairy. But most of that's gone. It did have quite a strong note of glossy printing, like magazine print. That's mostly gone as well, but it has left a nice lacquer or polish note. So this, I forgot to mention the ABV. It is 56.5% ABV. So not a shrinking violet. There is definitely an alcohol note there. I pick up dry grass, palm fronds, hay, but not a sweet wet hay, fairly dry hay. Very green banana, waxed lemons, or maybe grapefruit peel. Nice honey note starting to come through, but fairly dry, not a very juicy, not a very sweet honey, kind of a dry pollen type note. Alcohol, there's a big alcohol note, but it's not young or horrible. You'd hope it wouldn't be young for a 23-year-old whiskey anyway. A clean oak, kind of a wet plank of oak, soda bread, and this is going to sound very odd. There's a little note of salmon, but not maybe a smoked salmon, but it managed not to be fishy. I can't explain it, but I did get a slight salmon note without an off-putting fishy note. Sphagnum moss, papyrus, kind of sweet grassy maltiness, little bit of hemp, quite a bit of hemp on the nose actually, mint, menthol, mango stone, very, very green, very, very green pineapples, fruity notes starting to come through. Kumquat, cantaloupe, grenadine syrup. but that dry, grainy note is always there. So it never manages to get to, at least not without the addition of water, it never manages to get to a really juicy, fruity note. And then the dry spices, cardamom, fennel, and baking cinnamon. Okay, let's give it just a sip. I don't think this is particularly good without water, but let's give it a sip. Wow, spicy. It is palatable with water, actually. Nice oaks. A sweetness. It does go off a little bit. Yeah, there's some salted licorice there. It's sweet, but it is quite hot. Chili, cinnamon, oak. Not sure how I'd describe the oak. It's slightly dusty, polleny note. Cherry drops, salt, greenish, sappy notes to it. So I will add a little bit of water and we'll see what we get. I'm going to give it 2 teaspoonfuls because it is actually about 1.5. It's probably sufficient. Nice citrusy notes have come out, more floral, still that dry pollen, which is good. Lemon curd, lemon sorbet, dash of raspberry, licorice, good shovel of fresh earth, and I think a little bit of peat as well. Gentle peat smoke. The grainy kind of maltiness, I think, is like a broccolade as well. That's good. There's a little bit of apple, wax, cheesecake. I do get the cheesecake with the biscuit base and the sweet cheese. Nice gentle oak, more pleasant cereal notes starting to come through. Soda bread. A little bit of carbolic. Dried fruits, dried apricots maybe. And almost a toasted vanilla pod. Much more pleasant oakiness with a bit of water. Still greenish. Still bittersweet, pleasant bitterness now with the water added, and that heat has come right down. So cheesecake, it wants to be juicy. There are fruity notes on the palate, but it's just too restrained. The oak sort of holds it back from being a very juicy, fruity whiskey. I get pine, basil, rosemary. Later, a kind of robust herbal vanilla and elderflower. The finish is a bitter honey, bitter sweet notes. Peat continues onto the finish. A toasty malt, maybe sesame snaps, chili oil, nutmeg, fresh ginger, a dry-ish oak, alcohol, citrus, currants, and salted licorice. So this is really pretty good. Never had anything from Loch Lomond Distillery, never had an Inchmurrin before. I do like the Signatory Vintage bottlings. They are really very good. So if you see this on the shelves, pick it up. I think if you can get it for the £70, sort of around that mark, what I paid, it's an excellent value whiskey, and it allowed me to try something from a distillery that I just can't pick up anything of in Canada. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the review. Like, comment and subscribe, and hope to see you again soon. Cheers, bye bye.